Hello, everyone. It's Tony at Shining Hawk Healing. Thank you so very much for being here today for this special program that we're doing. And I'm just grateful for everyone here in the chat. If you're tuning in after this live version of this program, please leave comments in the bottom underneath. And don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that bell so that you know when we do another video. So, hello, everyone. I have some wonderful guests today. We have Cindy. She is Marita's mirror, and I can't say that word for some reason.
And then we also, it's hard. Yeah.
We also have Kevin, the healing medium. Hello, you guys. Thanks so much for being here.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
So today we are doing a sort of a special thing. We want to sort of focus on healing the collective, healing our families, healing our communities, healing, our world, our collective world. And what this is an idea that Cindy held really sort of dear to her heart. Cindy is a light worker as well. And she is also, I call her the master facilitator, because if you have ever taken a class from Kim at Intuitive View or Debbie at Freebird Spirit, you know that Cindy is the one who puts all of our practice sessions and stuff together. So we love her, we depend on her, and I'm so grateful for her, because she has given me so many more avenues to look to broaden my horizon. And then we have Kevin, who's here to help answer questions for all of us who have, if you have the intention of reconnecting with a loved one who has been sort of MIA because of political reasons or social justice reasons or anything like that. If you have felt that your connection to someone who you really, really care about has been affected by the things that have been going on in our collective world, then that's why we wanted to sort of get together and take that energy and make it more positive. So Kevin is going to help with that, facilitate that in giving you maybe messages from beyond that will help you bridge that gap between you and that loved one, that friend, that neighbor, that community leader or whatever. So I would turn it over to Kevin to say a few words if you would like to. Just
sure. I would love to. I'd love to back up and acknowledge Cindy in all of her resourcefulness. And I got to experience the talent and brilliance of Cindy in one of her gatherings. And I thought maybe, there'd be 5 or 6 people. That was not the case. There were so many people that were coming together consistently to be in conversation and in communication and learning and sharing. It totally blew my socks off. So I invited myself back, and it always takes those kind of people that will sometimes wrangle us in, to kind of be in these exchanges. So when she reached out, and I'm sure she'll share about this, but when she reached out, I was like an instant yes when I heard Shining Hawk Healing, Tony, your name. And we had not connected yet. And it feels so perfect. So I just want to thank you both for inviting me, having me. And Spirit's really excited when you were languaging kind of the spillover of things like politics or, just differences in life where we are left not in that connection or in relationship. Spirit got really excited because we have the ability to move through the worst of upset into something where we're still in that connection. And so I'm excited to, I'm excited to feel into that further as we go into this. And there was one more thing that I was going to mention, but I forgot. Just thank you. Lots of gratitude for having me here. And thanks everybody who has come together to be a part of this. So I'm super excited.
And
Well,
Cindy, thank you.
Both. That introduction, I should just leave now. That was so good.
Don't leave. You're the director and the producer.
That was very kind. Thank you, guys.
So Cindy, do you want to sort of give everyone an overview, a more detailed overview of what it is that your intention about, and I'd like to sort of, if you guys have questions that you want to ask Kevin about your connection with loved ones and how to better facilitate sort of a coming together, then just leave that question in the comments in the chat, and we will try to get to as many as we can within this hour. So let's go back to Cindy. So do you want to give everyone a more detailed, overall picture of what it is that you are intending for, for this this series?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you both for agreeing to do this, because I thought of both of you with the healing in your names, and what we're focusing on is a healing of our human condition right now, maybe. And the interesting thing is, I think what's good is that we're dealing with some political, but it's also just the environment that we're living in now with a lot of conflicts. And it's interesting because neither one of you really focus on politics. It's not the main part of what you do. And so I think this is a perfect duo as far as being able to incorporating some of the political and some of the other areas where all of us are probably going to be looking at dealing with in the future. I think this is going to be, it's not a one-day conversation, it's a journey. And so I was really inspired by your medicine wheel, Tony. And when I looked at the medicine wheel, I thought, it feels like a 4-part conversation. That medicine wheel represented 4 meetings that I thought we should have to talk about healing. And I do a healing for Gaia, for Mother Earth. And it was interesting because I thought, well, we'll probably start there. And then it kept coming up to me that before we can heal anyone else, the planet, we have to heal ourselves. It's like when you're on that airplane and then they say, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you can help anybody else. I kind of was drawn back to the healing that we need to do with our people that maybe we have stepped away from because of either political differences or differences on whether or not you should wear a mask or not wear a mask, or just an elevation in it being okay to be rude to other people. And I thought, until we can start engaging with each other, which is going to be very hard right now because we are all waiting. And, today we had no idea that this January 6th committee was going to meet today prior to our show. And I think a lot of people are like waiting for that justice. They want that justice before that we can even start thinking about anything else. And at this point, I think we have to look at what justice may or may not look like and how we can accept that and maybe move forward on that, and how we can deal with those people that it's worth healing a relationship with, that we've had good times with, that we've known to be decent people, but maybe they just got off track a bit. Maybe as things become more obvious, maybe they can be invited back. Now, that's not everybody. People who are aggressive or in any way abusive, never that. But people that we've known and we've just decided, well, we'll just stay away from them. Perhaps we're coming to the point where staying away is going to start to not be enough. It's going to be extending that olive branch. So that is kind of where I was coming from. And, I had get some great input from, all the people that are in our practice groups. And this has been kind of hitting our radar a lot lately. So that's my intention today, is to start the conversation. And I'm hoping that maybe in our last meeting, maybe we meet up again and say, how did it go when we reached out to people? What did we learn? What did we come away with? What were the surprises? So
Yeah.
anyway, that's the general idea of today.
Yeah, Debbie is saying, Debbie Freebird, Freebird Spirit is saying, yes, olive branch. And
Yeah.
there's, I got chills when when I saw that, because it's just so important to, have that attitude of gratitude and also of forgiveness. Use that heart chakra, open up your heart chakra, and forgiveness. And I say this on this channel all the time, that it's not necessarily for the other person. Forgiveness is for your health, for your well-being, because then you're not holding that negative energy in your heart chakra. You're not holding on to, if you say, I forgive you, and you really, really mean it, it's very possible that you can clear enough energy in the space so that the other person has enough space to hear you, what you say. So that olive branch is really important. That forgiveness is really important. What I do on using my wheel, and I know there are people here who may not visit this channel a lot, but I use this this medicine wheel, and I use it like astrologers would use the stars, or if you do Lenormand or whatever it is, it's a different way of looking at the energies that are swirling around us at any given time. So today we want to sort of focus on. So let me just tell you about the wheel. We have 4 quadrants on the wheel, and I'll hold this up. We have 4 quadrants on the wheel, and just like our Earth, our planet, it's divided into 4: east, south, west, and north. And in the center is the void area, and I fill that void with love. The stones around that area, there are 9 of them to represent beginnings and endings. So that is how I read the quadrants. East, the red is south, the black is west, and the white is north. So today we're going to look at the quadrant of the east. So that's when we wake up in the morning, after we've had our night of flying around and communing with the spirits and touching and talking to our ancestors and our guides. So we wake up in the morning with the sun, and the sun represents that east quadrant, and that is about illumination. It's about seeing, far. The eagle spirit is the animal that comes to mind when we think of the east quadrant. It's about having that sort of that vision that is far and wide. An eagle flies, and they can even look in the sun because they are not bothered by the energy that's coming from it. I don't know why, but so in the east, it's what we do when we wake up. What is the intention that we have when we open our eyes? What dreams, what desires, what things are foremost in our minds when we wake up? So to sort of connect that to what we're doing now is that if you wake up and you have this desire to connect with someone that you excuse me, have been out of connection with because of whatever reason, this is the perfect opportunity to state your intention, to have that statement be very positive, and then go through your day and knowing that once you've stated that to the universe, it will happen for you if you have that intention. Excuse me. So, Cindy, let's go back to you and talk about the intentions for, because not everybody really kind of knows how to set an intention. Can you sort of give them an idea of how to do that?
Can I add one little thing? Spirit's nudging me just to add one little parallel within the, okay. So within the east, which is the yellow, correct? Yeah,
This
and
power of the
stepping
sun.
into that each morning with the perspective and the medicine from the eagle, just feeling into that, it's like we have that ability to not, because right now we're in, a lot of us can relate that we're in that wait, and we're waiting, and we don't have to. Spirit saying we don't have to wait for justice. We don't have to wait for forgiveness. We don't have to wait for that surrender. Every single morning, we have that ability. As humans, we have that ability, and the illusion of how difficult it looks is actually just an illusion. It's very simple. It's very simple. And in the humanness, it's not simple, but it's very simple, the choice around it that we have each morning as we have that rise of the sun. They just wanted me to point out that parallel. I love it. Sorry to interrupt, Cindy.
I love that. I love that. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
You know, and I think empathy to some extent is, you know, when you look back, and we've all had that situation where maybe we met somebody that we thought was great and our friends tried to warn us against them, or we didn't listen, and you know, we got burned. And those friends that welcomed us back, that said, hey, you know, don't worry about it, you know, we all make mistakes sometimes. And I think when we're having some challenges with people where we're like, how can you possibly think this? How can you, you know, why? I thought I knew you, you know, that type of thing. You just have to think back to the time in your life, perhaps, where, you know, same thing, a little bit of understanding where, you know, people who are watching a show that they think is a news show, but it's really an entertainment show, and they really believe that. Just like the person that came, you know, that thought the person had true intentions, and people were telling them that's not true, and they still went ahead with it. So I think if we can look at it in a perspective, set the intention of, I want to see this person through a little more empathetic eyes, and understand that while we didn't have the same experience, we've had other experiences that can make us see a little bit where they might be coming from. So I think that it's, and also the other thing that we have to realize is that when we start this journey of reaching out to other people, we have to be okay with getting some rejection.
Mm-hmm.
They may not be well received. They may not be in that place, but I guess you meet people where they're at, and maybe it may not be now, but maybe in the future, because we're all going to need to come back together at some point. And I think it's especially good to do it now before all the justice is served, so to speak. So it seems more your intention, you know?
Yeah, and justice can look different. I mean, it may not be, like I said before on another show, it may not look the way you want it to look, but it is the way the universe needs it to be. So, you know, justice comes in many forms, and we may not be able to see if a person gets what we call their just desserts. It just, you know, we have to have the faith that that spirit will take care of what needs to be taken care of, and that the east that we're sort of, the quadrant one that we're looking at, is the east, where that element of fire, that's the you know, the power of the sun, that heat, that fire really comes in strong, because that's what we need to propel us into the day. So we come with that fire, and that fire fuels our intentions for the day. And so that we can take that, we don't have to, you know, come out of the gun, out of the gun with, I shouldn't. We don't have to come out of the chute, if that's a better way to say. We don't have to come out with both guns blazing. I guess what Spirit is trying to say, that we don't have to do that. We can come into a gentle way, but it's still there. The fire is there. We acknowledge it, and then we use it as a creative tool to create the things that we want. So I just got this card, and I use these little swatches when I use the wheel, so that it helps me, because I use the wheel in a way that acknowledges the chakra system. And so our personal what we do personally to enrich ourselves and to learn, if we use that chakra system, and that balances us out, then we can in turn be we can hold a space for other people. So yeah, a virtual hug.
Totally.
So
Yeah.
I think in the East right now, a spirit is saying that we have to have that spiritual awareness. We have to acknowledge that in the spirit world, we are all connected. There is no separation. So if we come out in the morning with that view, start our day with that view that there really is no separation. There's no, there's nothing that's holding us back from reaching out to extend a hand to someone who may have fallen by the wayside. So Spirit wants us to sort of look at those spiritual that have that spiritual awareness of who we really are.
That's making sense, and it's so perfect that Spirit's showing me the reflection and the reflective. So the duality in that, where we are looking in the mirror at ourselves in this, and we are not separate, they're saying, from the olive branch. So yes, we can reach out, and we can come from that place of trying to, reconnect, make connection, be in the conversation. We're not separate. And perhaps equal importance is that we look at ourselves in it, and that we offer ourselves the same olive branch, because we've all been there, where it's like we've been through the upset and we're in that disconnect, and it takes something to really look at ourselves in the upset, where we can be responsible. And there's always that opportunity. Sometimes we don't want to look there, and so we'll make it about someone else. But the layer of the forgiveness and really seeking justice, it feels like in that, to be in the, to be with our intention, we're not separate from that, is what they're saying. So really, when we look in the mirror, offer ourselves the same olive branch in that, allowing us to be back in that connection.
That's beautiful.
So I am starting some questions.
Questions?
Jones.
Did you want me to post any?
Yeah, post the first
I'm
one.
new to the posting of the questions, so this is very. We'll see how this works.
We got your back. Virtual hug.
Oh, this is perfect. Okay, so they're reminding me, before we connected, I logged onto my computer and I did a day of readings and stuff. And I had the music open at one point, and I had closed it. And when I connected to come into this call, my music prompted and something started playing that I have not played. I didn't even know that I had this piece of music, but they're bringing me back to it. And so I wrote it down as I just looked at it again, and it was Mercy from the Prayer Cycle, and it was Alanis Morissette. And I listened to it. She's not speaking or singing in English, but Spirit's saying that this is layered into it. So there's that mercy element of when we are in that reflection, they're saying. So mercy, prayer, Mercy from the Prayer Cycle is the name of the song. And I wrote it down. And so if you feel called to look at that, check it out. Yummy.
All right. Another question that I will show.
What's this? What's that? Okay.
Here we go. Can you see?
Yes.
Here's the thing, soul, spirit on the other side, they're getting to do exactly what they want to do. We get to be the extension of all of our dreams, our goals, our desires. We get to do that, and the beautiful thing about it, we're not limited into a singular experience. We get to do many things in multiple dimensions at any given time, or at the same time, if you will. So it's beautiful. All of what we can in the human capacity, as far as understanding that, we get to do that and more. So they're doing wonderful. Yeah, they're doing wonderful.
They're having a lot more fun than we are.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. Oh, beautiful. It's just, I heard pull a card, and it's the spirit of earth, and it's that yellow rising of the sun in the east.
It's perfect. It's perfect.
So perfect.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Okay, let me see. Let's do.
Message about forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. I feel like there already has been, but let's do more. Message about forgiveness. I was doing a show earlier, and it was within the change of the season and where we are within, if I remember, the equinox, and that shifting and unlifting of what has been present for us, and allowing that to move through and us move beyond. The element of forgiveness goes with boundaries. They go hand in hand. And so in that, Spirit is looking at boundaries. Looking at the boundaries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Boundaries. So you were talking about boundaries, and I get like this first chakra energy that comes up, and that's where we decide. We make that first chakra energy, that fire, that we either go yes, 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 or no, no, no. So we make our boundaries like that, and it's about telling the truth, speaking your truth to your friends, to your family, to your to speaking truth to power as well. And then the forgiveness card comes up. So this is just another confirmation that forgiveness is really the key. That's the wisdom behind all of everything that's going on. This is the key. Forgiveness, it's heart chakra. And it will happen if you use your intuition. You'll know exactly how to use that, energy.
I love those cards, Tony. Those are yours.
Yeah.
Your creation.
No, not these. These are Kaleidodope by Kristen.
Okay.
Kristen Brenner.
Yeah. Rooted in the, in the red, in that root chakra. It's about the trust, and we have to trust in ourselves when we're putting up boundaries, if you will. I'm hearing a bit of feedback. I don't know if that's just on my end. Maybe that's better. Yeah, that's better.
Got it.
Oh, it got so good. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's back a little bit.
Maybe it's Cindy. Oh, there we go. It's okay. It was just, it got a little louder. I lost my train of thought, but rooted in that trust is where our boundaries can come from. We potentially, not potentially, we can be unwavering when we're putting, in boundaries. And along with that, I know you were asking about a message about forgiveness, and that just they go hand in hand, because sometimes in that we have to be really forgiving of others and ourselves when we're putting up boundaries, and we all need them. And sometimes what that feels like isn't all warm and fuzzy. It really isn't. In my experience, it hasn't been. Instilling boundaries is something that a lot of people in my life say I do really well. And it really can take something, because as an empath, as I know we all are here listening to this, it can be really tough So I think that element of forgiveness when we're talking about boundaries isn't only for others. It really is, and not to weigh one as more important than the other, but really important. So,
So I have a question that maybe the cards can be helpful with. Is what if you've had somebody that you've been contemplating reaching out to, right? And you're not sure how to do it. Yeah. And I know everybody's a little bit different, but is there anything that spirit can give us that might guide us to what's, I'm sure, going to be difficult the first time, maybe less the second time, but just in a way that will feel a little more comfortable?
Yeah, I love it. So as you're asking that question, they're making me write down, speak higher self to higher self. So that initial conversation we can have from higher self to higher self. So whatever or whoever that is, just going into that conversation, the same perhaps is what it would look like if we were doing it directly with that other person, having it with their higher self from I'm hearing a bunch of that feedback again. Sorry. Is it just, maybe it's my end?
Yeah, I don't hear it.
I hear it, but I turned my mic off to see if it was me. So I don't know.
There. Okay, stopped. Whoever just did something, that's better.
I'll mute it then.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a lot of feedback on my end. So speaking from higher self to higher self is what they're saying. So before we have the conversation, perhaps that we have the conversation, and that could look the exact same. It could look very, very different. But sometimes in that, the energy of that conversation from higher self to higher self, there can be resolve because we're not so obstructed and limited by the emotion that's there from the experience that's created the upset, that we can be in conversation and we can be the space of being that self-expression and being the space of just listening without having to be in, defense or response or reaction or any of that. So it can be a really beautiful conversation that can happen. And so I will tell you, because they're telling me to share this, I was in a predicament. And so I wanted to it was a text message battle, potentially. And I was like, Spirit was like, Kevin, put that phone down, phone down. You know better. You have done this like before. And so push the pause button and have a conversation. And so I did. And I was actually in the salon and I had a client there and this was happening. And I had a conversation, and within minutes, and they were there, I had a witness, this person reached out to me and we were able to kind of revisit separate from the upset. It was like and so I'm needing to hear this as well, to be reminded that can be a great place to start the conversation, higher self to higher self.
Yeah, I got as soon as you started talking about the first chakra, this relationship, this is a second chakra card, and the fire of the first chakra comes in so hot and heavy, right? And then the second chakra is all about the waters that cool that heat, so that now you can see what you've created after the fire burns away. So the relationships that you create or that you want to hold on to, and thinking about it as soon as you wake up in the morning, if that's the first thing on your mind, then that's spirit telling you to take care of this, not just for yourself, because it's all about relationships, but personal power. in that you've drawn your boundaries, right? So you have your boundaries, but you still, this is a third chakra, this is a gut chakra card. So you're still listening to your intuition about how to take care of it. Listen to your intuition, follow your gut. If your gut is saying take care of it, like Kevin was just saying, get on the phone, communicate, get in there. Don't do it by text, because nobody likes nobody likes the outcome when you have an argument on text. It's all about communication. Communicate. Open the lines of communication. If you really want to have a relationship with this person, there will be ground that you can share. A shared experience can bring you together, so that this says finances, but it's all about security, security, and feeling secure in that relationship. And it's, sad to say, but, at the beginning of the day, it's all about you and how you react and how you, how you put yourself out there, boundaries and all.
Yeah. Love it.
So let's look and see.
See if there's maybe some questions to that in there. I'm going to mute myself. For feedback. I don't want it to interfere. So maybe people.
So while Cindy's looking for another question, we can talk about the quadrant of the sun, the sun that has speaks about new beginnings and health and overall well-being, clarity and insight. Those are the things that you get in the first quadrant. The first thing in the morning when you open your eyes. It may not seem like you're aware, but you've been aware the whole night. You know exactly what's going to happen. We travel, we sojourn with other people while we're sleeping, and then that is the impetus for what we take on the following day. So that's the first quadrant as well.
I love it. I'm taking notes. I really am. I've been jotting down all my little, all the golden nuggets.
Extend the olive branch of peace and forgiveness openly to others, but not to myself. That's what we all have to contend with.
Yeah. That was the spirit, making us look in the mirror and not feeling separate from the receiving, in that extend of the olive branch, if you will. We can sometimes forget ourselves in that. Perhaps just needing the reminder, and community is like a huge part of that, being in the healing of things that sometimes we're not able to be directly in conversation, so ancestrally, people where it's like, it's not safe to be in communication, directly with them, but yet we're still able to heal in it. And the healing process, it looks very different for people. Some of the common components of healing is that we can do that through other people, our conversations with other people, the likeness in it, the sharing, the listening, all of that. And so, it's an interesting process, and it can look very different. So there's not just one kind of blanket way that will fit everybody, because those circumstances can be so very different.
And if you find that you are able to have compassion for other people, right? You say, oh, I have compassion for this person, and you let nobody go hungry, and around you or whatever, you manage to find space or food or clothing, whatever it takes to help another person. That is, then you have the capacity to do that. So you can just turn that around as a mirror and look at yourself and all the things that you may not feel good about as far as yourself as far as you are concerned. where's the compassion? You can have that. If you have it for other people, you can have it for yourself. And it's just about making that choice and having that intention that you will be kind to yourself. You will see yourself in the light and try to see yourself the way others see you, because we always put ourselves in a different light. For some reason, you feel guilty about something. We worry about this. We feel like we feel bad about, what we look like, what we sound like, whatever it is. If you can have compassion and just be open to other people, then that is available to you as well. And I would say at the beginning of the day, that is where you start. That is where you start, with compassion for yourself and gratitude. The attitude of gratitude can give you that feeling of compassion for yourself as well.
Yeah.
That compassion.
That should frighten everybody a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Holidays are right around the corner. So I thought that
dun dun dun.
what's gonna happen. So I thought that start the conversation now. Maybe the holidays this year, maybe there'll be a little change in who's there, who's not, and and maybe next year it will even be better. But I'm going to reach out to a couple of people. I'm going to challenge myself to do that. And by the time we come back to our final meeting, I'm going to report back on how that went. But it would be nice if like I said, usually we think about the holidays when they're right there, but thinking about it now and maybe making things more comfortable if possible is something to put on the radar.
Yeah, interesting. I want to go back to just in what you were speaking to, Tony, how, the compassion and I've been witness and seen stories of people where they have the most horrendous or some of the most horrendous experiences that you can experience in the humanness, and still they show up in a place of compassion and an ability that feels like a choice to still be in the receive of the joy and the things that bring them joy, and talk about inspiring. And in that, it's like, I don't know how I don't know how this parallels to what you just presented about the holidays, but maybe it'll come out. Okay. Just following the things that bring us joy. There's so many things where it's like we've been told and shown that we have to wait and this and that. And in it, I question, I guess, our own ability to still be in the receive of the joy, despite the circumstance, despite the experience, despite the disconnect, the upset, all of that. We still, I feel it in my whole body that we have that ability. I don't want to say regardless, whatever that experience might be. So going into the holidays, it's like, follow the joy of it. And sometimes that can look very different. Sometimes it actually could be taking a stand that this year I'm going to stay home. I'm not going to, try and make it to 5 different places and miss it all and just be, exhausted and all of that. And maybe people can relate or not. But in that, just really looking at, yes, being compassionate, but also allowing the joy of what really lights us up and brings us that. I don't know. I'm curious what you both think.
Yeah, I think because, well, this is a sixth chakra card, and this is
Mm,
the third eye chakra, but it's closer to the seventh, so it's a closer connection to the seventh chakra, and it's about your dreams.
mm,
When you wake up in the morning, what was the dream that you had about having people over for the holidays, maybe?
mhm,
Having a holiday that is more inclusive than it has been in the past few years or whatever. But but your presence, how you show up, is important. How you
mhm,
show up, like, if you decide that you don't want to show up, that's a choice too. That's a decision as well. So how you show up is very important. Then the wisdom behind that is your personal power. It's it's what you feel is the right thing for you, your personal
mhm,
power. How are you using it to bring that dream into fruition? If you're extending that olive branch, then you have to really be prepared to you either they say yes, and then you have to deal with what is going to come up, when the family gets together, or
mhm,
you prepare yourself to be, denied, and they say, no, I don't want to do that. But you can allow that and forgive any hard feelings or anything like that. That still is a step in the right direction, because you've
mhm,
reached out, you've extended that olive branch, and now they know that you're thinking about them. Now they know that you really want to have a relationship. Even if they say no, further down the line, they will remember that you are the one who reached out. So all you can do is keep feeding positive energy into
mhm.
that stream, and allow them to be where they are right now. And then that's the truth of the matter, and then be totally honest with yourself and with everyone involved about how you feel and what it is that you want through that interaction.
Yeah.
So
It's beautiful. They're showing me this overlay of your medicine wheel. And I think in one of our conversations, this came up and it just came up again. They reminded me. So the overlay that they're putting is the Four Agreements
yes.
by Luis Miguel, I think is the author of that. And okay, that's beautiful. So in that, not taking things personal. So in this, every day we can wake up, because here's the thing, where do we draw that line? So the video that Cindy, that you had sent earlier, Pete Buttigieg, about like justice and that line in the sand, it's like, where do we say, okay, that is enough, and now everything beyond this different. So if I like I don't eat turkey, and if you invite me over and you're serving turkey, and I've announced that I don't like turkey, are you going to uninvite me? Are we going to sever the relationship? Where's our capacity to be in compassion for that when we put it in the arena of something like politics? Do we still have to have that compassion? I think we do. And so in that, our ability to be in conversation, in relationship, in connection, if we didn't take anything personal, how different that would look. So
Mhm.
it's curious to me, but yeah.
Cindy, did you did that get?
Try not to let the noise that comes through. I keep myself muted so it doesn't come through.
Oh, don't
Oh,
worry.
it's
Well, I think when it comes to being in the same room, it may take some time. I mean, maybe the first invite is just, somebody comes over for appetizers and that's it. And then they leave, but hey, you made it through appetizers. And then maybe next time they come over and you make it for a little bit longer. And I think that in December, there's going to be even more information that's going to come out. And I think what we want is that those people that feel like, okay, I want to step away from what I held firm as my belief before. I am shifting a little bit, and I'd like to come back. That they feel that they can, and that's there's some embarrassment, I think, probably, that some people will have, like I'm feeling taken in, or not being lied to, things like that. So I think baby steps, maybe
and that's where that compassion comes in. It's like, maybe you believed something that wasn't true, but we're all human.
Mm-hmm.
We have to hold a space for those people who feel that they needed to do that, or be that way, or go that way.
Yeah. I was reading Debbie Freebird Spirit saying holidays equals opportunity to growth. And it's so true. It's like, it reminded me, I went to a house party, imagine that, several years ago, and met a bunch of the neighbors, if you will. And one of them, a total stranger, I had never met them. Me and my partner were standing there, and he came up to us and he said, it was like the second or third kind of question or comment that he had made. This was a question, and he said, "What are you guys passionate about?" And I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, but in all of that, like, could you imagine if those were the kind of questions and conversations that we were having with people that we might have had an out with, and talk about an olive branch? Because that's the thing. We have to participate in the action of, reconcile. And in that, it takes something. And it's like, it can be so uncomfortable, where it's like, we're so in our head that we're not really in the mindfulness, if you will, of the heart and what we're really connected by. So our differences, they're sometimes really clear what those are, but there's often, always, they're actually saying opportunity for that growth and connection. So it's interesting.
And I do think it's okay to take a minute and process for ourselves. There's some hurt feelings, and looking at it in a different perspective, but it's okay to feel that, and to feel like, gosh, that kind of hurt me when they said that, or insisted on that, or didn't want to talk to me because I didn't believe that. And acknowledging that is okay, and something you have to work through before you can genuinely reach out to them. But I think you're right, Kevin, because you were talking about, I'm sure that in the two people that I'm going to reach out to, that I probably could have responded better. Instead of my visceral, I probably could have done a little better, take a breath and then respond. But I think we have to give ourselves credit. This has been such an emotional time. We have been through so much, and we won't, until history writes about this and we look back and we're explaining what it was like, we're going to probably pat ourselves on the back that we came through as well as we did. It's been a lot. And now it's hopefully we're at the time where we'll be able to reflect back and go, we were kind of, as a country, we were off track, and as a people, we were kind of at each other. But, and that's the but part, it's the but what happened next from that is that we realized we needed each other, right? The only way we're going to get something to happen is to do it together. And that we decided at that point as a society that we were going to come back together and work on the bigger issues. And that's why things are better now on the planet. Things are better with our, a variety of different areas. But we're at that point right now where it's the hard part. This is we thought getting to this point was extremely difficult. Well, now building the bridges again is going to be tough too. So it just was something that I thought was forward thinking. And I know everyone is focused right now. We had the hearing today, and there's a lot of things that we need to see some justice on. But then what? What next? So this is the very beginning of the thinking of what next.
Somebody said we have a collective, what was it? A collective, we have a PTSD collectively.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
very hard to see, through the fog of all of this confusion and this chaos and everything. And I think that is engineered that way. I think, we have been manipulated. So there are those of us who may not be on this path, who may not be, conscious enough to understand or even sort of critically, question what is being said in any given moment. Even the most outrageous things, it's like we could sit here and say, how could you believe that? How could you think that's
Mhm.
okay? And you just don't know. And the compassion of it all, we have to be present to the compassion that we show to those of us who don't, who are not vibrating on that particular level, right? Because we
Mhm.
want to keep our vibrations high. And this is what's happening now is sort of on a lower vibrational level. So it's kind of hard to pull people up into that vibration,
Mhm.
especially if they don't want to be there.
Yeah.
So we have to really, it's up to us. And that's why we're here on the planet at this time. We're all light workers here to do the job that we came here to do. And this show is a part of that. So don't give up. That's all I gotta
Yes.
say. Don't give up.
Yeah. And being in that space and feeling of the compassion and in the recognition that I can passionately feel one way about something and you can passionately feel one way about that same thing that's very different. The
Mhm.
divide is up to us, and that's where we're in choice. And so what Spirit's saying around that, they're saying be mindful of. Okay, so perfect. Being mindful of, yes, that can affect us, but don't allow it to infect us, is what they're saying.
Wow.
I know. Thank you, Spirit.
Wow.
Right? So
You're a very
that's
eloquent spirit team.
Yes.
wow.
Very good.
I'm grateful of that. But that's a beautiful way of saying it. And we get to be in decision of that, as hard as it is. And we've been there, we all can relate. We can actually be powerfully in decision around that. We have more choice than I think we sometimes give ourselves.
So should we pull a card? Each of us pull a card to end on with.
Yeah. Let me pull a card, an oracle
I was
card.
pulling one while we were talking. I thought this one was transform anger. So
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. I pulled 2 cards. The first one was the Shaylin Master. So being graceful in the movement of our actions. And so in that, also the within our the words that we choose, each word can cast a spell. So being in that, being really mindful, not only to our action, but our communication as well. And then I got the caregiver card. And as I feel into that, it's back to the center of that medicine wheel with the heart. And I wrote that down at the very beginning because that's the core. That's actually who we are by nature. That is who we are. And I almost swore, we mess things up royally in this humanness, and that's okay because we're here to learn by that. But aside from that, we are that center. And so just really being the caregiver for yourself, for other people, it's the compassion, it's the love. And that's, we're always connected. So even in the look of we're not connected because we're, no longer in communication. We're no longer speaking to each other. We're not able to anymore. We are still connected. So I love that medicine wheel. I'm mesmerized by it.
Thank you. So I got, this is, if we can get beyond the ego, the ego self is what keeps us separated, because it really does help us draw boundaries around ourselves and between other people. If we can get rid of the ego, and 3 cards came out, and trust our gut, trust your instincts, use that that third chakra because the third chakra biochemically is attached to the brain. So that's where that fight or flight instinct comes from. So it's connected. So we have to sort of really trust the connection that we have, so that we can transform the situation into something more positive, loving, and compassionate. So, yay. Let's do what we all have. Homework. What's the homework?
We got homework to do.
Yeah. Call to action. What is it?
What's our call to action? Is, compassion, just compassion, and holding space for, when you hold space for someone, even if they don't understand it, and you don't have to tell someone that you're holding space for them, but it's just a prayer. It's a prayer and an intention to share that compassionate energy with that person. So I think the homework is to just, create space. If there's someone in your life who you want to bring back into the fold, if they've gone off the deep end, so to speak, just hold space for them, and put as much positive energy into that space that you can, and see what happens. Next time we come back, we'll just ask you guys if any of that has worked for you.
And you know what else I find that works when it's a difficult conversation and it can be emotional, is I just write little sticky note with a few things that I wanted to, because when you get in that, there can be that emotion can come back up, but it kind of just reminds you what you wanted to say. Maybe it's a memory. I remember when we took that to Las Vegas or whatever it was, and I was thinking about that, and I know we've gone in different directions lately, but I miss you, or that type of thing. And just having it as a little reminder can be really helpful, because especially the first time, I think it will be a little bit emotional.
Yeah. I love that, Cindy. It's one of those things that I do it, especially in the tough conversations. I write out literally on paper, and I have it beside me, what I'm trying to create. And I try my very hardest in this humanness to not stray from that when I'm clear on my intention of what I'm trying to create, especially when there's upset. I need those reminders. I need them. And sometimes I look at that paper 100 times by the time the conversation is over. And it's something, and I love her dearly. And she is so eloquent in the way that she presents things, Debbie, Freebird Spirit. And it's the leading with love. And that will take us to a very different place if we lead from love. And so we all have that capacity. And whether we do or don't, there's still learning to be done from that. But yeah, being clear on what we're trying to create. Good reminder.
Yeah. So I guess that the whole thing about healing the collective is, it's very important to keep that in your mind, in the forefront. Maybe that's the thing that you can concentrate on when you wake up in the morning, in that first quadrant of the sun, is to state your gratitude, and then state your purpose of what it is that you want to do to bring these people back into your life somehow, if that is what you want to do. So the morning is very powerful, especially if it's between dark and light. If you're there before the sun comes up, then I start to do my prayers then, and then when the sun comes up, I feel like that is like the period to my prayers. That's the amen. That's the aha. That's the possibilities are endless kind of thing. So yes. So being very cognizant in your dreams in the morning of what it is that you want is powerful. So
this
thank
was
you.
healing.
Yes.
This was so healing.
And imagine
must
everybody
say.
here reaches out to 3 people. And then
Yeah.
they feel like they can reach out to a few people. And they, so.
And they tell 2 friends.
And so on and so on.
Yeah.
So you guys, thank you so much for joining us for this conversation of healing, and hopefully there's something that you can take away from it that you can pass on to someone you love and someone you sort of want to love better or again, whatever that might be. So thank you, Cindy, for creating this this space for us to have this conversation. And thank you, Kevin, for your insight and your guides and your team, and thank you for being here. And we will do this again. We're going to go into the physical next time. What physically can we do to bring ourselves, the collective, together? So thank you, guys. Have a wonderful rest of the week, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Walk in beauty, walk in peace, and walk in love. Bye, guys.